Hey, hello. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with Beau, and I see you posting a lot on social media. A lot of good content, like on Threads and Instagram. It's like a lot of like helpful advice. So I wanted to interview you and kind of like learn more about you, your spiritual journey, and like what you do, I guess. And so I guess I just wanted to start with just basically just your journey. Like, have you always been spiritual? Like,
Um, that's a long road, so I'll try giving the high level version. Yeah, it was always kind of an open mind, a sentiment in my home growing up. Like we weren't shut down in terms of spiritual things or things that we saw or we experienced, and it wasn't something either that was like thrown in our face. So we were kind of just left to be a little bit. So I experienced some things, saw some things. Like for me, I'm just a kid that, well, was a kid, felt a lot and a lot. I still feel everything. So I guess kind of my journey through that to here has been trying to make sense of what I'm feeling. And I didn't have anyone to teach me that at once upon a time whatsoever. I think a lot of families and a lot of people struggle to articulate like their emotions and their feelings and what they're aware of. So I was like, awesome. Like I didn't seek to do that. I kind of had to, otherwise I would drown. It became a necessity, really. And so I just grew up. There wasn't anything. I wasn't like some hippy dippy kid. Growing up, kind of, average stoner skateboarder kid. Did fine in school, and then I guess the evolution where I really kind of kicked off deeper into like energy work and spirituality and everything. It came when my psychedelic renaissance, I should say. Uh, I was still kind of being a bit of a shit in my early 20s, and just, living a life. I had money, a good job, and I had a week on, week off schedule. So I would go to work and then I would party my face off and go to, shows, and I liked my loud music and bass. And eventually that evolved into like mushrooms and psychedelics. And after only doing that a few times, I was like, oh shit, this is way more than just a distraction or something recreational. This can legitimately make me a better person. So when you tether that to me trying to make sense of the world and the things that I'm feeling, I was like, oh wow, I could learn like a lot from this. And that turned into, I don't know, probably 2, 3, 4 years of like it was pretty intensive for a year or two. And then I slowly tapered off to the point now where I'm effectively sober. It's just, once upon a time when I was off my ass on shrooms, I just remember saying, I want to be able to embody this and this knowledge and this understanding, and I want to be able to articulate this and express these things to other people so they can have access to this kind of like knowledge and awareness about themselves and the world around them. So that has sort of led me into the life that I'm living now, where, love health and fitness. The gym is what kept me grounded and sane and probably still here, honestly, because seeing a lot of the world for what it is, it can be a little depressing. And I was kind of cynical when I was younger. And then with psychedelic renaissance and growing up and, working through a lot of the trauma and the grief and stuff, I just realized I'm like, oh wow, there's, your internal world. The external is just a reflection of that. And like you can really shift things and help people and help yourself simultaneously by just, leaning into your authenticity and the things that you have an awareness of. So that's led into 7 years of coaching people now, which has shifted from let's get you in shape to majority of my clients now either being neurodivergent and they feel more, they have more sensory awareness than most people, so I help them interpret that. But a lot of my calls were getting into a lot more energy work and like dealing with the inner world, and the physical stuff is still important. I'm really good at that as well, but it's kind of just the foundation that allows us to really have them align with what they have going on internally so they can show up and live the life that they want to live.
I love that. Okay, that was a lot. So that was a lot to dive into. I'm curious. I'm trying to remember all the questions that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious, like the relationship with your parents. You said that they were spiritual. but you've had to like figure it out on your own. Like, did they guide you at all? Like, did they teach you things
Definitely
or
not. Definitely not.
yeah,
I think my first interaction with like call it like Reiki or energy work. I think I was like 12 years old. And at this point in time, maybe over the years, my mom had a few calls with psychics who were aware that, there's something more beyond. And, back then, some of them had some credibility. Even to this day, like there's some people in the space that are very legitimate and, coming from a wonderful place. And there's those that are a little fraudulent or moving with the intent of, making money or validating their ego. But no, I'm 12 years old. I know that, there's more to the world than just this physical. And my mom's got this crazy headache one day. And I'm like, oh, I'll take care of that. Let me make that go away for you. So, like even now, these days, with the knowledge that I have when I do energy work, I kind of just feel into it. And I did that when I was 12, and hands on her head, I'm getting into it. And it helped out a little bit, but 5, 10 minutes later, I get this crazy headache and I'm like dying now. And I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking terrible. Um, so that kind of was a little jarring for me. After that, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be doing any like, no healing, no energy. Like, I'm good with that. I don't need to accrue and deal with all the shit that, someone else is going on. Um, so that kind of just paused things for a little bit. But in
gotcha.
terms of like awareness and stuff that came from them, it was just it was kind of an open floor. We weren't shut down if we mentioned things or spoke about things, but in terms of like guidance or mentorship around it, there was pretty much none.
Gotcha. So do you feel like shrooms has been like the most helpful tool for you?
Um,
Or is there like some other tool that you felt like has been the most helpful for you? Or
it played a large role because everyone's so fixed in seeing the world through their lens. So, like your developmental years, how you grew up, your traumas, your experiences, the conditioning from society and everything going on around you, right? Like we all see things through a fixed lens. So the shrooms and the psychedelics and the things that allowed me to escape from my ego and my body sometimes, like it gave me an opportunity to start seeing things in a different perspective. And then, even outside of, those experiences, even in sobriety, I started having more and more of that where, through introspection and turning inward, I could start uncoupling myself from this fixed way of seeing the world because of, my experiences.
gotcha, that's awesome. Yeah, I microdose, but I've never had like a crazy full-blown trip type of thing. Like, yeah, I'm not ready for that, nor
Think you're ever
I don't know
going
if I'll
to,
ever be
or?
ready. I don't know. Huh?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, you think you were going to, and that's you kind of answered the question. It's like that's something that you just know for yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I brought that into my sobriety. Like those experiences, I've had experiences that blow my mind in terms of like what I'm feeling or witnessing that far surpass a lot of the experiences I had on psychedelics. So like that was kind of a goal. I was like, I want this state of awareness and being when I'm sober. And
Uh,
so in some degree,
so, like, do you do like breath work or something, or just like completely like,
um, like. I spent a couple years being really intentional about my breathing and regulating my nervous system in terms of like having regular, like serious intensive breathwork sessions. Not really. I've dabbled and played with a few things over the years, but for me, the big piece is just, having the awareness and the mindfulness to come back to the breath and like regulate my system when needed and making a habit out of that. But in terms of getting intensive with it, not really.
oh, gotcha. Oh, that's cool. Um, so do you have like daily practices that you do every single day type of thing?
So yes and no, because you know, I don't really like my labels too much, but like a little sprinkle of autism and ADHD, definitely ADHD like crazy are in the mix. So I know that if I don't do certain things, that I'm gonna have a bad time. So those things that I'll always do shortly after waking up in the morning, like not too short. I like my slow mornings. I like to like come back in my body. But very recently I started doing like 10 minutes of visualization in the morning. That's newfound. I've done little bits in the past, but this is becoming a regular practice now to just really like imagine the life that I want to live and be there already so I can embody that frequency. And then after I'm up and moving, it's just that move. If I don't do something like, like some Qigong type pieces or like lymph clearing or just like, getting energy out of the body, I'll just always go for a walk. Like a walk in the morning is like
Yeah.
have to, need to. That's a necessity.
Yeah, it's crazy how like the simplest things will really make a big impact. Like you're like you do a little bit of breathing, a little bit of moving, and it's like it makes a huge difference. So,
Literally, like
yeah,
night and day, honestly.
right. And so sometimes you think you have to do like all this crazy stuff, and it's like sometimes it's just go back to the basics,
Right,
basically.
100%. Like I give my clients all these tools and I'm like, you can do this, this, and this, like, according to what they're going through. But I always tell them, I'm like, if you feel called to do it, it's always the basics that are going to do everything for you. And then it's like, here's these tools if you feel it a necessity to kind of go above and beyond and address something.
Mhm. Yeah. So, you mentioned neurodivergent, and like I've been questioning lately. I'm like, am I neurodivergent? Like, I didn't really know exactly what that meant, and then I'm like kind of looking into it because like I felt like a lot of what it was like stating was like kind of like me, but like what would you describe neurodivergent? Like, I don't think I'm
Yeah.
ADHD, although lately in the last year or two, it seems like I'm developing ADHD from social media, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the way that
Um,
social media is designed and the world's currently running,
yeah.
all of these things and conditions, it's why I have a little bit of apprehension around the labels because, like, I've said it on some of my threads content, and I believe this. I'd say that neurodivergence is effectively the evolution of consciousness. And at the end of the day, we're just consciousness experiencing itself. So, like, the evolution of that and being able to perceive more and feel more, that's going to be like unique little like tweaks and adjustments in your DNA and your epigenetics, which can be influenced by literally your environment, especially how you feel, how you see yourself. You can literally signal certain genes on and off. So, in terms of, I was trauma can do the same thing. You're like, I was cool, now I got crazy ADHD. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But I kind of just summarize it as, neurodivergence is effectively you have nuance in your DNA and your methylation. Methylation just effectively being how your body processes and interacts with, your food, your supplements, the world around you, everything, stress, all of it. Um, so you have little nuance and deviations where, compared to your neurotypical person, I guess, you're feeling more and processing more sensory information from your environment than other people.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like I've always been that way. I just kind of didn't really understand it. Like I felt like I always
Yeah.
like felt more type of thing. And it was
Hmm.
very like overwhelming and now like I kind of like understand that and accept that basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be really confusing and overwhelming when, like, a lot of these things, I love that it's being talked about more now. And that's, why I spend so much time talking about it is because, 5, 10 years ago, people just slap a label on it and say, "Oh, you need these pills. This is all you can do about it." And that's bullshit. There's a lot you can do about it. It's just not a lot of people are speaking to these things, but that's shifting. So,
Yeah.
there's hope.
Yeah, I know. I think that's like a lot with a lot of mental health is just prescribing a medication when it's like it's something deeper than that that you have to like dive into and work through. It's
100%.
yeah.
100. And I don't villainize, like, pharmaceuticals or medication either, because sometimes if you're in a really deep hole or you don't know how else to deal with it, that can be a really useful tool to like get you moving forward and out of the hole. It's just
Yeah.
a dangerous game when someone fixes that to their identity and they condemn themselves to that. They're like, this crutch is now my lifeline and how I move through life. And what was a root issue is they've slapped a permanent band-aid on it and they remain stuck pretty much indefinitely if they don't actually actively do something about it.
Yeah, I just from personal experience because I've dealt with a lot of anxiety throughout my life and I
Mhm.
was trying so many different anxiety medications and everything to like help and um just not deal with the anxiety to not feel it because it was like too much. And I
Yeah,
realized it was all kind of just like a band-aid almost in a sense. Like it helped in the moment or like fix it for a short period of time, but it didn't really like get to the root and like fix it long term type of thing. So
yeah, 100%.
I had to like dive in and do the work. So
Yeah,
um so I want to hear a little bit more about like your coaching with clients.
sure.
Like what's that like? Like what do you do with them? You can explain to people what you do and yeah.
So, like I said, there's a framework where first, everyone I'm working with, I get them started and make sure, like, I want to see what they're doing. I want to see how you're eating, what your life looks like, so I can get a better picture and understanding of where they're at. Because for everyone, it doesn't matter what your goal is or, where you are. We have certain, foundational pieces like your sleep, your stress management, your nutrition, and then your hydration. Everyone, you can't miss with that. Otherwise, you're going to be the deficit. And then after that, we get into movement. And then after that, it's exercise. So it's just all of those basics where we take care of the body and make sure that we have like a good homeostasis first. And then, that really frees up the space where like we have a good foundation. We're seeing things clearly because we don't have like, hormones screaming all over the place. Our body's not inflamed and angry and like, causing dissonance that's making our vision distorted. So once we kind of get a little bit of homeostasis back and we're on a good plane, that's where it varies client to client because everyone's different. But then we start leaning into, some people, they don't want to go too far down like, the spiritual rabbit hole. And then in that case, we just continue optimizing like further and further the physical body, which like I've been saying, it's kind of been shifting towards more energy work anyway. So like when you get so far with like getting everything in check with the physical body, you're kind of just whatever's left, you're like, oh, be it there's unresolved things and issues you can feel and you want to work through that. Or in some instances, I've had clients where they're just like, holy fuck, like I feel so good. I want to do this, this, and this now. And then it's kind of just like focusing that energy so that they can, start crafting and moving through life in a way that like builds their life for them. And for a lot of people, my client retention is really high. I've got clients I've been working with for, 2, 3 years now where it's a never-ending journey in terms of self-development and growth. So for a lot of people, we're just really digging in slowly because you can't rush this process, right? Everyone goes at a different rate. So we just kind of uncover layer by layer the things that, like patterns and trauma and things that keep them repeating loops that aren't serving them. We slowly work through those layer by layer to reframe that and shift it to, modalities and a lifestyle that aligns with who they actually are and what they want to accomplish.
So would you say most of your clients, do they come to you like for like the physical body, or do they come because like mental health type situation, or
So
a
it's
blend?
it's shifted. It used to be a big focus on the physical body, and as things have been changing, especially in the last, if I went back 2 years ago, I would say it was a good balance between those that, whether they knew it or not, were neurodivergent, and they just things weren't working for them how they would like to see them working, or they would try certain plans or whatever, and it wasn't tracking because the nervous system's dysregulated. There's so much inner grief that's happening that's preventing them from moving forward, and then they would resonate with some of my content and like the things they speak about, and so it was kind of like it went from in the very beginning like physical body, and it kind of like evolved into neurodivergence and like dealing with still the physical but some of the internal stuff. And now it's shifted more to like energy work and like really aligning with like your inner world and just still keeping that physical is just the foundation for it all.
I could see that with your content. Like I feel like my first impression was like bodybuilding type of thing, and then I mean I met or found you because of like the spiritual stuff. So, but then
Mhm.
you kind of blend the two and it all blends together. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I was confused when I was younger. I was like, I got all these things I want to do. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how does this work? And then as the years have passed, I'm like, oh, this all sort of connects and it goes together. I'm like, okay, I see, I got it.
So do you feel like this is what you want to do? Like this is your purpose? Like what you see yourself doing long term?
So from the coaching standpoint, I'm kind of in the midst of shifting this right now because a lot of the things that I'm teaching people in terms of the foundations and working through a lot of things, I have the resources and the knowledge now where I can kind of almost, put together modules and like, videos like me talking, explaining things where you have all the foundational information there. And then I would like to get more intensive with my one-on-one coaching because like ideally what I would love to do in that space is move to a spot where I'm taking the physical and the metaphysical and the inner world, and I'm combining the two in a way where I'm working with people that maybe have neurodegenerative diseases, they've got chronic illnesses, things that they're dealing with that like traditional medicine and the system has been like you're fucked, you have no option. And like if we tackle that, including the physical down to like a DNA level, and then we address like very deeply the energetic components of it, I think like we could, I mean, I've already seen some of it, but get some pretty miraculous like healing and just things that are deemed impossible or oh you can't do that. And it's like I think we can. So it's just going to be an evolution of me still having the resources available to people depending on wherever they are on their journey, but getting more intensive with it for like, those that are either dealing with really intense things or they just want to really like, speed run the whole thing. Well, you can't rush it, but they're intentive and very intentional about what they're doing and where they want to go. So that's what I'd like to do from the coaching standpoint. But like as an individual, and then I guess this kind of blends into, I want to lean more into like masculinity, because there is a lack of it in the world that we're currently living in, and women
Yeah.
struggle because of it, and men struggle because of it.
Yeah.
And I never had like, healthy mentorship or role models in that. And I think the bulk of the issues in the world would start like in the same way with coaching, right? When we get all the foundational stuff in check, the body starts healing and we see a lot of growth and amazing, beautiful things with that. So on like a broader scale, I would like to start speaking to the masculinity portion of it and like helping men through these sorts of things because whether you like it or not, like they're women are like God's gift to this planet, and women are closer to God and the divine than men. It is. You can see this like through science with the amount of gray matter and space that you guys have in your brain. And not only that, you can literally bring life into this planet, right? So the trick is though, in terms of having a man being able to come into a safe space and really evolve, a woman can't play that role because like she can in some like context is everything. She can facilitate and help that and like inspire. But when it comes to dealing with like those really, really deepest layers for a man, like let's look at a relationship, for example. You can't go and offload your heaviest like traumas and negative pieces onto your woman because that's going to cause a lot of grief and issue because that's not her, like you're drowning in it. If you offload it onto her, now you're both going to be drowning in it. So that's the piece where like the healthy masculinity comes into play, where it's like men need to stop competing with one another and turn to one another and provide that safe space. So like some of those pieces, and like I said, there's definitely like a lot of growth and beautiful things to be had between like men and women, but there are some elements of like a man's journey and his growth where you need other men and you need that safe container and space to continue evolving. So.
I 100% agree. I feel like I see a lot of women's groups and like women support, but I don't see as much. Maybe because I mean I'm a woman, but I think there needs to be more men's group, more men supporting other men. So that's awesome that you're
100%.
doing that. That was gonna be one of my questions. I don't know the next question, but it was gonna be what would be your advice to men? Because I see you're doing the work, and it's like I don't see a lot of the men doing the work. Like there are some, but not as much as I see women doing the work. But I mean, I hear there's still a lot of women not doing the work. But what would
That's
what would
a
be
people thing.
what would be your advice to men to start doing the work? Like, how do we get more men doing the work, I guess?
I mean, the biggest thing for everyone, and this is where social media can either be a godsend or like honestly kryptonite and just a poison. And you see this where, because everyone they get, that confirmation bias, and they want to lean into their traumas and their bullshit and have their feelings validated. But like, especially as a man, right, like anyone for that matter, but especially as a man, like if you don't take radical accountability for every single piece of your life, you are fucked. Because in the same way that like then who? If it's not you taking accountability for it, then who? And that's a dangerous spot where it's like if you don't take ownership for every single piece of your life, you don't have a fucking chance. Because if you're not taking ownership of it, how are you ever going to change it? You're literally giving that away. And that's where it's dangerous sometimes with social media, where you almost have these echo chambers of very like, you know, trauma ridden and toxic mentalities where, you start seeing polarization and, pitting between the sexes and all this stuff that's like super unhealthy. But for a man like just wanting to, evolve and turn inward and grow as an individual, I think taking accountability for everything and then uncovering like your purpose and what stands true to you. Because like the whole we're supposed to protect and provide, for sure that's an innate thing and it comes naturally and it should come naturally. But where it can get a little bit tricky sometimes, especially with the current state of affairs in society, is that, you know, and again, this comes back to why having, other men in your life is so important. There's that performative piece almost, where so many men like they don't feel seen as an individual and who they are. They see seen for their performance and what they have, and it like creates a wedge within oneself. So it's like when it comes to finding your purpose, you truly have to, like, obviously you're not going to be like this, but like, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. That takes a little bit of time, and you have to, like, uncover what that truly is for you. But that just comes from accountability with where you're at, and then understanding where you want to be. You don't have to have it all figured out, but like some semblance of a direction so that you can, start moving towards like your true purpose and where you want to go. Because once you do that, then it becomes more clear where you should be focusing your attention and your energy. And then there's like a peace and a resonance that happens when you do.
Oh, awesome. I feel like you're like an inspiration, like a golden egg, like not many people like you. Um, I feel like oh, this is just, I guess, my perception. I I feel like there's a lot of men that might be afraid to dive into the emotional part of it, like diving
Sure.
deeper, like they're not doing the inner work type of thing, you know?
Yeah, it can be terrifying. I know this from experience.
Yeah.
Like, because here's the thing, and this is why I spoke about, like, some things you can't, offload onto, your woman, for example. And it's like, well, if you haven't been exposed to and you haven't seen healthy masculinity, you don't have, like, that brotherhood in other men. It's like, what do you do? Where do you turn to? How do you evolve? Like, where is your support and your help through these things that are really, like afflicting you and what you are? But the only way through it, in my opinion, there's two ways. One, you can, hopefully find like a safe space, an environment, a container with people that, have an understanding what you're going through so they can kind of guide you and help you through that, not coddle you, but challenge you and make you turn inward and like face the things that you're afraid of, but do it in a way where like you feel safe to do so, because that's really the only way to like move through it. Um, yeah, so it is, you can't escape it. It's fucking terrifying. There's no way around it. But like if you don't find that safe space to do it, then you're gonna deal with like some bullshit, and that's gonna affect your relationships with like, platonic relationships, professional relationships, even your intimate romantic relationships where like that stuff, if you don't find a modality and an outlet to start turning inward and dealing with that and working through it, it's gonna come out in a way that's probably not really healthy. And then it's at that point where you're gonna have to figure it out anyway. So it's like you can seek out to do the scary thing and find resources or communities or social support to help you do it in a way that's healthy. Or you can just let that shit get out or explode out when it does and then deal with the mess afterwards. Either way, you're having to work through it. But one, you have like a sense of control over it. You're guiding it. And the other one, you're just kind of, left to react and figure out what's what when the dust settles.
What's your opinion on therapy?
It depends. If you're talking like, talk therapy and a lot of like traditional modalities, I'm not the biggest fan. Because, being neurodivergent, you feel more. And so considering the fact that, I mean, there's a reason they use the placebo effect to, demonstrate and test a lot of, supplements and things that come out. It's because like it's very real. And you can, just like I said earlier, you can influence your epigenetics based on, your deep internal state and what you're feeling and focusing on. So I think some modalities can be really dangerous actually and have a negative effect where if you're trying to rummage through your trauma in the past, what you're doing is you're bringing that into a present state. You're re-traumatizing yourself. You're bringing that into yourselves in the present moment. And then you're perpetuating the story because like you just keep reliving it and it's just going to go on and on and on and on. And it can almost be like detrimental to a lot of people. So I don't villainize it. I think, it's different tools and use cases for everyone. But I think, truly just paying attention to how you feel and if something's working for you. Like if you're doing some, form of therapy and you genuinely, it's making you feel better and lighter and you can see the progress and improvement, great. That's fantastic. But I had one client too. She started up some therapy, and I'm very careful about the things that I say because I don't want to influence someone's journey. I just want to provide them the information so that they can make clear decisions for themselves. What I just explained to you, I was explaining to her and how they can affect her, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's happening to me. I feel like shit after, and it takes me a long time to like bring myself back." And I was like, "Well, there you go. It's probably not, your cup of tea, and that's fine too. It's just if that, if traditional therapy modalities don't work for you, it's just you have to seek out something of some form. Otherwise, it's like, you can't just sit in limbo or ignore things or bypass indefinitely. And that's where, I'm trying to fill that space a little bit in terms of providing like other outlets and resources so people can work through these things.
Yeah, it's basically like finding whatever tool works for you, and then different tools, like because I've gone to therapy and it's helped me a lot, but then I also had to find the right therapist. Like there
Yeah.
was therapists that didn't work very well, and then also therapy worked to a certain extent, but then it stopped at that extent. I had to find other
Yeah.
things. So
Eventually, you get to a point where like the answers are in here, and that's the only place you're gonna find them.
yeah. Well, it was nice to like talk and bounce off the other person, but it was coming to my own realizations like
Hmm.
through talking to another person. But Um, yeah, I think that's basically all my questions. I don't know if you wanted to speak about anything else. Do you have any other thing to say?
Uh,
You want to put out on YouTube for everyone to know?
um, I mean, maybe it'll have some application to other people. The thing that I'm focusing on a lot in my own life right now, and the thing that is, it's a conversation being had with my clients as well, is just sort of encapsulating what we've been talking about with having more trust and nurturing that connection with yourself and turning inward and like starting to make sense of like what you're feeling and honoring that. One of the big things that, I explain is that like your brain's not your friend. Your brain is here for survival. It's designed to keep you alive. So, if, and then there's books and studies that exist on this, like your body, your intuition, your gut, if you will, it knows things that the brain's not capable of understanding. So if you lead your life in a way where you're trying to brain it first and decide with your mind how to move forward, I think you're fucked, or you're at least going to run into a lot of grief and challenges. But if you can shift that, where you start paying more and more attention to like your body and your heart and what's going on in here and like your gut, your instinct, and then, taking whatever you feel from that and being like, oh, okay, so whatever it is, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Then you use your brain after that to figure out how you move with action to align yourself to what your body's telling you.
My brain and my body be fighting like all the time, so I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll
Great.
happen.
Yeah, yeah, all the time. It's awesome.
Like you can't see it on my mirror behind me. I like took a little marker. What is this? So I don't botch it. I just wrote surrender. It doesn't fucking miss. And it really ties to that because if you want to live a magical life, you want to move in alignment. It's literally that. Just like I've had so many things happen in my life, like on the daily now, where my brain's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And I just need to not feed that or react to it. I just need to, just like I said, come back to my body and be like, well, body says this is what we're doing, so I guess we do it and we see what happens. And like through that surrender to that process and moving like that, I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. That worked out in a really beautiful way. And people can, you call it your gut, your instinct, your fifth sense, God, whatever resonates for you, but it's important.
Literally, surrender has been the theme of my life recently. Maybe this year. I think it's been the theme this year. So I really,
100%.
yeah. Where can people find you on social media?
Um, the most readily available place would be Instagram. Beaukuhberg. That's it. Beaukuhberg. Kind of building up from there. There's much more to come, but that's kind of the main hub where you'll find everything to see my content and what I'm getting into.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on and talking. This was great. And you
Yeah.
gave a lot of great advice, and I hope people really listen to this and really run with it. So,
Wow, thanks for the invitation. It was
yeah,
so fun chatting to you.
yeah, awesome. All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks. See you.